let's move on to the next chapter, before things get too wildly political. I can save that Pandora's can of worms for later. It's time. Welcome to How Hard Could It Be, where I give my thoughts about something and then, get ignored, I guess, probably. I also talk about my challenges at the end, though, so stick around for that. I've recently been having some thoughts about rainbow capitalism, virtual signaling, and hollow statements of solidarity. Jim Sterling recently did a video about companies changing their logos, putting out Black Lives Matter statements, and then doing nothing else. He even did a follow-up video about Activision Blizzard, specifically. He brings up a lot of good points. Statements without actions are hollow and don't mean shit. I can agree with that. I want to give a counter-opinion to this. Hollow solidarity is better than silence. Support for a cause, just like many things, can be seen on a spectrum. Gotta love that word. It's fucking everywhere. In this case, the spectrum ranges from opposition to silence, neutrality, or ignorance to support, with some ranges in between. A lot of forces can land any person or company to one of these positions, whether it's the diversity of the company, the stockholders' viewpoints, the CEO, or the life of the person, or whatever. No matter what subject you're talking about, you'll land somewhere on the spectrum of opposition or support. Ultimately, a company or person has two choices to make: where they actually are on the spectrum and how they will publicly present themselves. Some companies and people will present themselves as farther out on the spectrum than they actually are. This is done to foster goodwill, hide shortcomings, deflect criticism, or, on the sinister side of things, infiltrate or disrupt their own opposition. As an example, Activision donates a hot couple mil to a Black Lives Matter charity. Do they really care? Maybe somebody does. The company, however, sees that donation as a nice tax write-off while they line the rest of their pockets with our money. End of the year rolls around, and they're probably getting all of that back and then some, just out of corporate welfare. Corporate money laundering, I guess you could call it. This is just good publicity for them and little else. They hope you'll buy their product and further their profit, while actually taking no financial risk nor making any internal changes. Another example is those that are trying to infiltrate spaces that they oppose in order to disrupt them. For example, that video of the guy dressed to the nines in tactical black gear dispassionately breaking the windows of an AutoZone? Pretty sure that fellow doesn't actually give a shit about the Black Lives Matter movement. Clearly it's possible to lie about giving a damn about a cause. On the other side of things, you'll have people and corporations that will appear to be closer to the center than they actually are. This is usually because of fear of backlash, whether from opposition or people on the same side. These folks and companies are usually in the closet for some reason. For my fellow rainbow folks, it's fear of our families. Thankfully, I've never had to deal with that kind of harassment. That is not everyone's story, however. Many people are afraid to come out of the closet. They're afraid of their family, kicking them out, forcing them into homelessness and destitution. They're afraid of reprisals in the workplace, even reprisals from various aspects of their community. On the flip side, people who don't voice their opposition to various things may be afraid of society at large knowing their views and revealing what they truly are. You can look at Chick-fil-A as an example. Their public appearance is of relative silence on matters of LGBTQIA concerns. However, their owners' donations have been to supporters of gay conversion torture institutes. Their outward look versus internal politics basically give the feeling of, anyone is welcome to buy from us or be exploited by us, but fuck do we wish the gays didn't exist. Money talks, and CEOs of billion-dollar corporations can force their voices to be heard above everyone else's, whether that's in politics or media. Side note, Mr. Cathy has only given non-apologies for his views. He's only regretted that he voiced his gay-hating views, never saying he regretted having them in the first place. That message is pretty clear to me. Moving on. When both your outward presentation and your internal politics line up, you land at true integrity. If you ask me, this is where Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream land. They've been arrested at 2 protests, in 2016 at the Democracy Awakening rally, and in 2018 protesting F-35 jet disruptions. Their Black Lives Matter statement was impactful and laid out several steps for reform and progress. They show that they're not afraid to make firm statements or stand behind them with action. This should be everyone's ideal state. Even Jim's video had a great example of that regarding Niantic. I'll let him talk about it for a second.
But one company, Pokemon Go developer Niantic, is not just offering a quick donation, but some actual fucking substance. As Kotaku explains, it'll donate half of a minimum of $5 million from the sale of Pokemon Go Fest 2020 tickets to fund projects from black gaming and augmented reality developers that can live on the Niantic platform. In addition to that, Niantic is giving $100,000 to the Marsha P. Johnson Institute and match further employee donations up to $50,000. More than that, however, Niantic has committed to internal cultural change in a meaningful way, actively pledging to develop diversity and inclusion training, reserve spots in the company for the hiring and mentoring of people from varied backgrounds, and institute a council to hold itself accountable.
Discord, too, is taking a stand as well. They are actively policing their platform, trying to curb the spread of hate and accepting their responsibility as a platform. They're also diversifying their senior leadership, recruiting a full-time head of diversity and inclusion, and starting an internship program for underrepresented groups in 2021. They're even undertaking a third-party audit for researching the spread of hate and racism on their platform. This shows that some people and even companies are willing to take a stand, willing to make progress, and willing to make things better. Even Digital Extremes, my precious Warframe developers, are making some systemic changes. It's been a long time coming, but they're dumpstering their partnership program and making a new one with better reporting for bad actors. And hopefully, this new system will be a lot better for everyone as well. This leads me to the initial conversation topic. Is hollow solidarity better than silence? I think it is. I think it's an important signifier of the future. What we're seeing is more open support for progressive inclusivity. I think that's fantastic, even if it's not always backed by action. It shows the growing tide. It brings hope to those that cannot come free, and hopefully means more changed mind as the years pass on. It bolsters the communities of the vulnerable to come forward. On the side of the Black Lives Matter movement, it shows support for change, especially in the light of the protests. It shows that people in these companies are willing to do their part in presenting solidarity. Having more people, more voices screaming for justice, screaming for our governments to do the right thing will hopefully result in positive change. In fact, we're seeing positive changes. A recent Supreme Court case resulted in a 6-3 in favor of decision in regards to LGBTQIA protections in the workplace. Many cities are passing legislation to prevent police violence, and we're seeing larger pushes to defund police and pull back their responsibilities. Even goddamn NASCAR is saying no to Confederate flags. Support is on a spectrum, and I'd rather see 1,000 companies giving hollow solidarity than staying silent. It's not nothing. It's only a little, teeny tiny bit more than nothing. But the representation, the symbolism it projects, is still important to many. I hope that these changes seep upwards into society and more companies will take active steps similar to how Discord and Niantic have pledged to do. Hell, maybe some of the corporate hypocrisy that hides behind these solemn JPEGs will eventually fade away as well. The alternatives to full-fledged support or hollow support is either silence or open opposition. Neither are great. Silence results in no additional voices, adding to the cacophony of support that results in change. Open opposition, well, results in death for some, abuses for many, and a lack of progress for society. It results in the removal of our very rights to exist. It furthers the causes of hate groups. So I'll take hollow solidarity over silence any day of the week. I'll take it over open opposition. For too long, structural change has been out of reach. And while it still feels that way for me, I think we're making some strides towards progress for a better future. None of this is to say that we shouldn't criticize companies for not doing more. They should do more. We shouldn't even live in a society where we are held captive at the whims of billionaires for the support to our causes. While we are, we should expect better. We should ask for more, and we should demand more systemic change. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about my challenges. I've had this rattling around in my shoebox of a brain for a few weeks, and I wanted to try to get it out in a shareable format. Sometimes trying to talk to people about these issues and thoughts just feels pointless. Honestly, I don't even know if I expect to change any minds with this, but maybe it will. Starting the script, I wanted it to be fairly short. Then I just kind of realized that what's the point in making it if I don't actually say something with it? It's a political video. Let my goddamn politics fly. If someone unsubs me over it, then oh well, I guess. Not like I have a whole lot of them to begin with. It's not like YouTube can demonetize me, and it's not like they can suppress it worse than my content already is suppressed. I decided to try something different for my first on-screen video. I recorded an Audacity file for myself, then shot it to my phone. I used my Raycons to play it back in order to follow the script without having to sit and read it. But I talk a little too fast for that, at least for this first attempt. Instead, I MacGyvered myself another filming setup. Until I get some better equipment, this is just what I'm gonna wind up doing every time I record, I guess. This happened while I was recording, which I thought was funny enough to share. It's time. Welcome to How Hard Could It Be, where I give my thoughts about something and then get heckled by something falling in my closet? What the fuck? I'm trying to improve on my self-recording. Trying to keep from moving too quickly after recording a line and adjusting my script. Maybe eventually I can afford to get some sort of teleprompter and maybe a better camera. Until then, I have to use my computer, my current camera, and my phone in some way. Other than that, standard fare for the rest of the editing. I didn't feel like doing much with the green screen. Now that the video is over, remember that Black Lives Matter. Trans people are valid, the only good Confederate flag is a surrender flag, defund the police, tax the rich, punch Nazis, and this is how a real president drinks water. Ah!